Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the Take for Market Rebellion. And I'll tell you what, here we are at a hump day again, and an interesting day leading into hump day. When you look back at yesterday, markets were actually moving pretty daggone nicely to the upside when you look at the Dow and the NASDAQ. And then there was a sharp sell-off. And with that sharp sell-off, we really didn't recover much. We recovered some, but we still finished. We closed up 15 on the Dow. We finished up 10 on the NASDAQ. So yes, we finished in the green. But a little bit of a volatility kind of moving in there, although the implied volatility is the VIX itself not really reflecting a whole lot there because we had the VIX. It did move from the upper 14s to the mid 16s and then actually finished the day just underneath 16. So yes, a little bit of movement. As a matter of fact, on that push to the downside, that's when we saw that spike in the volatility index. I think we got somewhere close to about 1670, somewhere in that sort of area before then just coming right back in and settling down just a little bit. A monstrous day of volume yesterday, over 43.8 million contracts we traded yesterday. The huge contributor, once again, Tesla 3.1 million contracts yesterday. Give you a little perspective. The next closest was Facebook, 1.3 million, Nvidia with 1 million, and then you look over at Ford with 880,000. The interesting thing here is I never mentioned Apple. Apple is always in that top 2 or 3. Generally, it's the number 1 in terms of volume on a daily basis. Not so much yesterday. And Tesla just continues to be this violent moving stock, obviously primarily to the upside, but we see some whips within the day as well, oftentimes with Tesla. So that's something you just always have to keep an eye on. So yesterday, energy started off okay. We had a crude oil hanging somewhere near 85, somewhere close to that 85 level. Crude definitely stands out. And then when you look over and you see energy trading the way it was, it didn't finish the way it started, but still up about 0.75% yesterday. We had the financials just kind of moving around a little bit. That was part of the big pullback that we saw yesterday. Consumer discretion kind of moving around once again. Industrials down about 0.5%. So you get an idea of what was really sort of pushing and pulling on the markets yesterday. So the standouts, almost all of which were basically earnings-related standouts for yesterday. You take a look at UPS up 7%. NVIDIA, now a lot of activity each and every day. We talk about NVIDIA. We might be talking about that one a little bit more in just a minute or two, but I'll tell you, 6.5% to the upside. Just a nice driving move to the upside. We talked yesterday about what was going on with Lockheed Martin, which was under heavy pressure. It was down 12% yesterday. Another earnings call. Facebook down about 4% yesterday. That was all over the map, though. Facebook actually looked like things were going to be okay as we started off the day yesterday, and then we just started to slip, and that's a stock that continued to slip. Chinese names, all of a sudden now back under pressure. You take a look at PDD, NetEase, Baidu, all those kind of names getting hit to the downside. I think something that was really interesting that I just got to point out. So I talked about the volumes and how strong the volumes were. Here's a couple of some of the heaviest volume trades that we saw yesterday. NVIDIA, UPS, Merck, Lowe's, Freeport-McMoRan, Cliffs, Nucor, IGT, which we play out in front of us. When we got to the start of the day, it looked kind of like a ho-hum day starting off. And then we started to see the market start to take off to the upside. And then the Dow had this big tumble just before I came on. It was down over 100 points. It was starting to recover as we started this broadcast. It was down about 60 last we looked. Meanwhile, you look over at the NASDAQ, which is up somewhere between 40 and 60 points to the upside still and holding on to most of its gains. Volatility, about the 16s, somewhere in the upper 15s, very low 16s. Bitcoin has pulled back a little bit at 59,000. We were talking about Bitcoin just the other day at 63,000. And what really is moving around in the markets? Well, I take a look over at energy. Now, crude has dropped not significantly, but down towards that 83 level from 85. You can understand why you'd see energy then down nearly 2% early. Started to recover. We'll see if that's something that can play out throughout the rest of the session. But materials did recover, down 1%, then about 0.5%. Financials were down close to 1%, down about 0.25%. So we see a little bit of what's the inside of the sectors themselves that are pushing around these markets right now. And certainly we are seeing a lot of that. I talked about earnings pushing things around a little bit as well, and some of the biggest movers. McDonald's having a really nice day today. The incredible numbers that they put up. So that's up about 3%. I look over at Visa, not doing too well, down about 4.5%. So not everything's in the green. We look at certain names though. I look at Xilinx, I look at F5, I look at AMD, all of which up 3%, 4%, 6%, 7%. We got some nice moves there. Twitter. Now, Twitter's problem, at least the breakdown that I saw, was that Twitter just is not showing the growth that people are expecting to see from Twitter. And because of that, the disappointment is certainly there, down about 7% today. Texas Instruments, another one in that space with semiconductors, but not moving with the others. It actually down about 6% the last I looked. Tesla and Microsoft both up at least 2% or thereabouts. So could be kind of interesting. You might be seeing me today at noon. They're talking about that. We might be jumping on just real quick to talk about some of what's been going on with earnings, but keep an eye on the halftime report for that. We'll see. That's something that was requested earlier today. So 2 unusuals and I'm out of here. Lucid. We've talked about this name on many different occasions. I talked about the EV space yesterday on how much activity we have been seeing in the electronic vehicles world. And I'm talking about batteries. I'm talking about just about everything that goes into the EV space. Lucid, pretty interesting. Stock trading right around 28. 25,000 of Friday's expiring. That's the 29th. Yeah, today's the 27th. These expire in a couple of days. 30 strike calls, 30 cents up to about 75 cents for those options. Very interesting to see that kind of size coming into Lucid. We've seen a lot of big trades. That's one of the bigger trades that I've seen coming into Lucid of late. Next, NVIDIA. I just mentioned that one. They seem to buy it every single day. Always seems to be in the first hour to see to see what kind of runway it has for the rest of the day. Well, it's been performing pretty nicely. Stock 249.50. 13,000 of the October 29. Yes, once again, very, very short duration. We are back into that mode very quickly. The 250 strike calls. Those are going for $1.60. They went all the way up close to $4. That's with the stock trading 249.50. NVIDIA, they've been buying and buying and buying, it seems like, on a daily basis, always in the first hour of trade. We'll see if this one works. They have been working. It's been very interesting to watch so many different names in the space where we see this repetitive buying day in and day out. We've talked about it with AMD in the past, with Freeport-McMoRan, multiple names where there's just this appetite for buying, and they seem to be right more often than not. We'll see if that continues as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. Educate yourself if you don't understand the derivatives markets. I get questions all the time, either directly to me or on Twitter or on the airports or in restaurants or wherever I might be, asking about the derivatives markets. You've got to get educated so you understand what the risks are and understand the pricing and all of what goes into the options. Do your very best. That's something that I think is extremely important, though, is to be educated and understand why trades are working and not based on a lot of the different metrics that go into the pricing models. Folks, have a great day of trading.